looking at them and saying, yo, we can take them. We can catch these brothers. Buffalo obviously is in that mix right now. They've been playing good football for the better part of this season. We got to give props where it's due in terms of their development along the way. And so when you look at it from that perspective, knowing you can never discount Tennessee, you can't summarily dismiss Indianapolis as well. Obviously, it's one of those things where I think if you're the Steelers, considering the way that you've looked over the last couple of weeks, obviously because of COVID and the games being postponed on 3 separate occasions against Baltimore, then you having to play a game on a Wednesday, and then after that, following it up on a Monday afternoon, basically. So your body clock is just all over the place, whatever the case may be. Bottom line, if you're the Steelers, you're concerned about all of these things, and you got to get your act together because you've looked horrid pretty much the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you got to get your act together. I don't think that's the kind of thing you want to go into the postseason thinking about or having on your mind, and because of the way that you're playing, particularly with the level of competition in the AFC this year. I think this game is more important to the Steelers.
I totally disagree. I think it's clearly more important to the Bills. See, the Steelers already have 11 wins. No, they haven't been playing well. There's still some time before the playoffs. And in terms of Cleveland, the way the Ravens did the Browns week 1, the way the Steelers did Cleveland when they played them earlier in the year, I don't know anyone who says, yeah, Cleveland's can win a Super Bowl this year. I have a different feeling about the Bills. I feel like the Bills looked in there after their last game like they've arrived. Like they could really be a powerhouse. In fact, ask around, who has the best chance to beat the Chiefs in the AFC? Would anyone say Baltimore or Pittsburgh right now? Because I'd say the Bills. And I think they got to keep that going, especially since, in a larger sense, the AFC East is now up for grabs, right? No Brady-Belichick combination anymore. Brady was in decline anyway, but now Belichick had to take a new quarterback. He's totally different in Cam. The defense isn't the same. No offensive weapons. Who's going to take over the AFC East? The Dolphins are good. I think Miami, they play defense like they mean it, and they drafted a quarterback back way up high with some star potential, right? No, the Bills have a chance right now to put, and by the way, the Dolphins get the Chiefs this week. The Bills have a chance right now to put some daylight between themselves and the rest of the AFC and to firmly establish the fact that they have indeed arrived. I think this is a more important game for Buffalo.
I mean, you make some good points, Max, but you're wrong. I think Stephen A. is right because the window is closing. If this is not the last year of this window in Pittsburgh, then it's really close. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance potentially to win the Super Bowl this year. The only way that they can win the Super Bowl this year is if they get that lone first-round bye. As everyone probably has heard by now, there used to be 2 first-round byes in the NFL playoffs. Now there is only 1. The Steelers have no shot of winning 3 playoff games in a row and then winning in the Super Bowl. Right now, the Steelers have the tiebreaker to beat the Chiefs to get that first-round bye and home field advantage as long as they win out. If the Chiefs win out and the Steelers lose another game, the Steelers will have to win 3 playoff games in what seems to me the last potential window that they have with Ben Roethlisberger. And this defense is fading. They're a talented defense, but they're losing players, and I am less confident in them than I was coming in. And I understand everything you said about the Bills. I think you're right. The Bills have Super Bowl potential if they get hot, if things work out in the right direction, if their defense can be as good as it's been recently, if it could do that consistently in the playoffs, and Josh Allen can not short circuit, because that's the scariest thing about the Bills is Josh Allen, when he gets pressured, Josh Allen thinks he's Patrick Mahomes or he thinks he's Deshaun Watson, and he tries to make magic, and instead he makes a mess. So I think that they have a promising future, especially in that division, the AFC East. The Bills window is just starting to open. So I know their chances of winning Super Bowl this year go up substantially if they can win and continue to create good feelings and as they go forward. But I think that their window is just starting to open. Whereas the Steelers, this is their last chance. Ben Roethlisberger is not the quarterback that he once was, and you saw what they have behind him. And we're in an age in football where you cannot win just by having a dominant defense. So no matter how talented or good that defense is, their window is this year. If they don't pull it off this year, which in my mind requires the first round bye, then they don't win.
I think, while I don't disagree with you, but I think it's a point that needs to be added here. When we talk about the Buffalo Bills, to piggyback off your point, Dominique, let's look at the wins, Max, that they've had thus far this year. Of course, they beat the Jets twice, you know that. But they've beaten the Dolphins, the Rams, the Raiders, the Patriots, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Chargers, and the 49ers. And so you've got some quality wins in there by a relatively young football team. And when you look at it from that perspective, if they lose this week, okay, then it's it's just the latest game on the schedule you got this week, but we got 3 weeks to bounce back. We got 2 divisional games against the Patriots in Miami to close out the season, and a game with against the Broncos before that. If you're the Steelers, because you're older, because the expectations are there, because what Dominique pointed out, the window closing, combine that with the fact that you've looked like you've looked over the last 3 weeks or so, and you have no running game to speak of. And we all know the 2 things that must travel with you in the postseason is a defense and a running game. The Steelers do not have a running game, okay? They've ranked 31st 2 years ago. Last year, they were 29th. This year, they're at 29 right now. They don't run the football effectively. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's a very, very important that you don't give a team like Buffalo the momentum that they would know how to utilize to propel them to new heights. You want to squash that as best as you possibly can, especially since you might meet them come postseason.
Here's the thing. Right now, there's a tendency to slightly underrate the Steelers. Look, if I told you at the beginning of the season this is a 14-2 team, you think every Steelers fan would sign up for that? Hell yeah. They were 8-8 last year. It was an amazing job by Tomlin. But when you watch the Steelers this year, and we even said, are they going to go undefeated? Nah, even after they had like 10 wins, it's a 14-2 type of team. Right? Well, here's their other loss, right? They're going to get healthy against the Bengals. Do you know why they're likely to lose to the Bills? And it's okay. They played 3 games in 13 days, right? They had postponements, short weeks. They didn't have a bye forever. They lost their mini bye. They were exhausted, which is why they were winning the game. And then they got tired late, which is more or less what happened against an ascending Washington team. But they were winning by 2 touchdowns. There's a reason Ben Roethlisberger era, they're like 109, 2-1 when that's the case at any point in the game, up 2 touchdowns. Because they're good enough to hold that lead, but they're exhausted. By the way, this week against one of the best teams in the NFL, and I would say you brought up Mahomes and Watson. Those are the 2 better quarterbacks in the AFC. I would take Josh Allen over the rest of the AFC quarterbacks, including Lamar Jackson right now. So, against that team, can they lose? Sure. And then they'll get healthy against the Bengals, finally with some rest because they're playing Monday night. If you're looking for losses on their schedule, if they're at most a 14-2 win team, they might not even be 14-2 wins, just based on the quality of the team. Here's the other loss. It ain't the end of the world.
So, you almost sent us off on a whole nother tangent. Maybe I can come back next week and we can debate this Lamar versus Josh Allen thing, because I think that's an easy answer. The answer is Lamar Jackson, the quarterback that you take. But that's a whole nother conversation. In this situation, I think expectations matter. And if you look at the big picture, Steelers' expectation is championship or bust. Most seasons, unless their starting quarterback gets hurt. And we understand that right now, this season for the Steelers will be a disappointment if they do not win the Super Bowl. The only chance they have to win the Super Bowl is to win out the regular season and to retain that first round bye. There are different expectations in Buffalo. Buffalo is building something. They can have the season that they've had without winning a Super Bowl and still feel like they are headed in the right direction. The Steelers, if they have that season, it is a disappointment. And then they look around at their aging quarterback and their defense, which is dealing with injuries right now, and they don't feel as confident going forward. I think that's why it matters, because they are on different timelines. And all this stuff that we tend to discount matters for how you assess the season. I couldn't hear you. Go ahead, Max. What's that?
No AFC team has it's not a disappointment if you don't get by the Chiefs in the AFC. I'm sorry. To start the season, the Steelers were not like, oh, yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Maybe you could say a team like the Saints, the way they're playing now, that's not a disappointment. Yeah.
Well, here's what's annoying about your take, Max. So you say if we took it and we started the season out and we said the Steelers going to end up at 14-2, would we take that? Of course we would. Well, we take 13-3 too. We take 12-4 as well. Hey, Max, we take 11-5. But if you start out the season 11-0 and you finish 11-5, is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? Yes or no?
No, I don't think they're going to finish 11-5.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is thank you. So stop saying, oh, we would take this record at the end of the season, at the beginning of the season. It matters what you do week to week. It matters what you do month to month. It matters what you do as the season progresses. And if you're looking like garbage in December, approaching Christmas with the playoffs around the corner, that's significantly worse than looking like garbage in September, but looking much better in December.
Guys, this is the tough part of the Steelers' schedule. The reason when they had to move their bye because of that Titans game, which was very close and they were lucky to win, the reason that was a big deal is because the hard part of their schedule was late and they wouldn't have rest. This was exactly the concern. Giants started slow. They had the Giants, the Broncos, the Texans, the Eagles. Stop me when you hear a challenge. They whooped the Browns. That was supposed to be a little tougher. They squeaked by the Titans, squeaked by the Ravens. Then they have the Cowboys, Bengals, Jaguars. Guys, it was a soft schedule. Now it's harder. This is when the losses are supposed to occur, when you have a tired team against tougher teams. Like, it's okay to lose a couple games.
I can end it. If the Steelers are not in the Super Bowl, they will be disappointed. If the Bills win a playoff game, they will celebrate this season. Look at their recent history. That's what it comes down to.
Dominique, my only challenge on that would be, I think it's forgivable if the Steelers lose to Kansas City. No one else. But if they lost to Kansas City, that's acceptable. Anyone else?
I think it's forgivable.